What's good? What's good? What's good? Shout out to all of my great ones worldwide. Is Rotten Tomatoes biased? That's a great question. Stick around. I'm going to answer that question for you and let you know exactly what Rotten Tomatoes is about in this video. What's going on? It's your man King Nabby the Great. Now, in recent years, really since 2016, there's been this theory going around, that this conspiracy theory that Rotten Tomatoes is biased towards a lot of our favorite blockbuster movies, films that people are passionate about. Specifically, one great example are DCEU films, superhero films from the DC Extended Universe. This is because every single DCEU film, with the exception of Wonder Woman, has received a Rotten score on the tomato meter. I'm going to give you a simplified explanation of how Rotten Tomatoes works in order for you to realize the truth behind the myth, or possibly the fact that they're actually being biased towards our favorite movies, namely DCEU movies. Rotten Tomatoes as a website does not review movies. They do not rate movies. They do not critique movies. They provide no kind of movie criticism as a site. What the Rotten Tomatoes site actually is they are a platform to provide an aggregate of the ratings from hundreds of critics worldwide. These are certified critics who have either established themselves in the industry as trusted sources, or they're critics who work for trusted sources such as magazines, newspapers, online websites, or other publications that provide movie reviews. Now, let's get into this word aggregate. What does aggregate mean? An aggregate score is when you take scores from different places, in this case from different critics, and then you create an average to basically sum up, give a summary of how all of these people feel. They don't only do this with critics, they also do it with fan scores, which is why you see two scores on the tomato meter. One is reflected by either a splattered green tomato or a ripened fresh red tomato. The other score is either a trash can or a nice fresh box of expensive ass movie theater popcorn. Now let me dive a little bit deeper into this aggregate score from the critic side first. When critics do their ratings, they have, various ways that they rate. I use an emoji system. Some people use percentages out of 100. Some use 1 to 10, 1 to 5, just a thumb up or a thumb down. This is good, this is bad, whatever the case may be. When a critic says that a movie is bad, Rotten Tomato logs that. When a critic says that a movie is good, Rotten Tomato also logs that information as well. Now let's use a flat number of only 10 critics. Let's say that there are only 10 critics, 10, that provide their ratings and their scores to Rotten Tomatoes. If 6 or more of these critics like the movie, then the movie will be rated fresh. It'll get the nice ripened red tomato. If less than 6 critics write this movie, so if 5 critics or less than that, 0 to 5 like the movie, then Rotten Tomatoes is going to give it a rotten splat, meaning that less than 50% or less than 60%, of the critics like this movie. So we give it a bad rating. And that percentage that you see is the actual specific percent of critics that like the movie. So if a movie, for instance, like Justice League gets a 40%, that means only 4 critics out of every 10 critics liked the movie Justice League or gave it a good rating. On the flip side, you have the fan ratings, and with that, they do the exact same thing. The amount of fans that like it, if 6 or more fans out of 10 like it, then it gets a nice, box of popcorn. If less than that likes it, then it gets a trash can. So if you understand what I'm saying here, if you're following along, Rotten Tomatoes has really nothing to do with the score that it provides. All it's saying to you with that percentage is not saying that the movie is 40% good or that they gave it a 40% rating. It's not saying that they think that Rotten Tomatoes specifically thinks Justice League is a 4 out of 10. No, they're just saying out of all of the reviews that we got from critics, only 40% of these critics said that they liked the movie. They really have no responsibility over how the critics feel. That's just the information that they were given. So do you see now how really, the problem that we should be having, for those of us who are fans of these movies that are being rated poorly, is not with Rotten Tomatoes. It's with the critics that are criticizing these films. And really, in my honest opinion, we all have our own individual minds. We shouldn't listen to whatever score is given by who. I know that we have our people that, that we go to, that we trust, whether it's a critic or a friend, and we trust their opinion. And when they tell us something is bad, we might believe them and not want to waste our money, because movie tickets are expensive. They're not cheap these days. You know what I mean? So you want to have something to gauge it. However, if you really are excited about seeing a movie, don't worry about whatever score it gets from whoever. Go see that movie because you like the subject matter, you like whoever's involved, you like the filmmakers involved. Go out and support that movie if that's what you really feel like doing. I just want to bring some clarity to the situation and hopefully educate folks so that when you do go on the Rotten Tomatoes site, you can make a more educated decision on whether you want to see a film or not. Because really, on that 40% score of Justice League, yeah, maybe only 4 liked it, but those 4 people who liked it might like it for the same reasons that you would like a movie. And those 6 people that didn't like it, they may not like it because they're totally out of touch with the subject matter of the movie, or they just don't know. You get me? You get where I'm coming from now? Really, to me, I think the bigger issue, and maybe that's for another video, is that I think that a lot of critics, all in all, have a thing against Zack Snyder, in my opinion. I think that they believe that he uses visual effects and things of that nature to kind of cover up what may not be as good a storytelling as they think it should be. Me personally, I'm a fan of Zack Snyder and I've enjoyed most of his films. I don't have any problem with them, and film is a visual medium, and I thoroughly enjoy seeing the way that he puts the visuals on film, especially when he first started, or when he first brought his style and his flair, to the forefront with Watchmen and 300 and stuff like that, and we really saw it. I dug it, so I have no problem. Let me know down in the comments if you have any more questions regarding Rotten Tomatoes and how it works. Let me know if this has been clear for you, if you've learned something, if it's clarified any confusion that you had, and if it's maybe changed your opinion on how you look at a Rotten Tomato score. And hopefully now you'll go in deeper to see like what exactly, read, because they do provide blurbs from the critics. So, look at the critics and see what they're saying, because a lot of times they're saying bad things about films that aren't relevant to a person who may know more about the subject matter, or who may feel differently than they do, or have a different viewpoint than they do. Please like if you like this video. Please comment to get involved. Please subscribe if you love movies as much as I do. Shout out to all of my great ones worldwide. Be great in life, and life will be great to you. Sé excelente en la vida y la vida será grandiosa para ti. Creativity, abundance, and prosperity to all. And I'm out.
Mafioso.